What just hit my screen feels exactly like the kind of quiet, dangerous opportunity only real contenders recognize before everyone else. And if you care about keeping this Detroit Lions window wide open, you'll want to stay locked in with me until the final second. This is Lions News Fan Report, and I'm talking straight to you, one-on-one like I always do, because today we're not chasing fake headlines. We're dissecting a real possibility, whether bringing in Braxton Jones from the Chicago Bears is the smart, calculated move that turns this offensive line from a strength into a shield, from solid to playoff-proof. I'm going to walk you through who Jones really is beyond the surface, what his situation in Chicago tells us about his availability, how his traits match what we do in Detroit, what kind of compensation actually makes sense, and what message a move like this would send to the locker room and to the rest of the league. No drama, no manufactured breaking news, just context, details, and a clear view so that if this rumor heats up, you'll already understand what's on the table for our Lions. Right now, the Lions are not begging for respect. That part of the story is over. This offense has a clear identity, physical in the trenches, efficient in structure, built on timing, play action, and a quarterback who can slice up defenses when he's kept upright. Everything we want to be starts up front. That line is one of the reasons this team stopped being a feel-good rebuild and started looking like a real problem. But anyone who has lived enough football knows how fragile that advantage can be. One rolled ankle at tackle, one guy fighting through a bad knee in December, one tough stretch against elite edge rushers, and suddenly your high-powered offense is surviving instead of dictating. Real contenders don't wait for that to hit them on Wild Card weekend. They build in insurance while there's still time. Now we turn to Chicago, where Braxton Jones' name doesn't come out of nowhere. He's not an anonymous backup. He's a 26-year-old left tackle with length, athletic movement, and meaningful starting experience. He fought his way from late-round pick to multi-year starter, held his own in a messy situation, and now finds himself benched in favor of Theo Benedette while heading into a contract year. That combination is important. When a team sits a capable, healthy tackle who's nearing free agency, they're basically telling the league, make an offer if you're interested. His pass protection metrics have been quietly respectable, with a strong win rate that confirms what the tape suggests. He's an easy mover, can mirror speed, recovers when he's initially beaten, and understands angles well enough to operate in a structured system. He's not an all-pro. He can struggle to anchor against elite power, but he grades out as a starting caliber tackle in a league starved for them, and that alone makes him relevant to any team with serious postseason ambitions. For Detroit, the beauty of this scenario is that it's not about panic, it's about stacking strength. You're not calling about Braxton Jones because your line is collapsing. You're calling because you want to make sure it never does. He steps in first as a premium swing tackle, someone who can back up the left side, handle emergency snaps, compete for time, and be trusted if an injury or matchup forces a change. That role is far more valuable than people admit when everyone is healthy. In January, it becomes the difference between tailoring your game plan with confidence or rewriting it in fear. And if he performs, you suddenly have options. Maybe he pushes for a starting job down the road. Maybe he becomes a long-term depth piece on a fair extension. Maybe he simply stabilizes a crucial position while you chase something bigger this year. All three outcomes work for a contender. From a schematic standpoint, Jones fits what this offense wants. He moves well in space, which matters in a system that mixes play action, wide zone looks, screens, and pulls, not just static five-step drops. He can climb to the second level, redirect in pass protection, and function in an offense that doesn't leave him on an island 60 snaps a game. You drop him into a structure that already helps offensive linemen look their best: strong interior presence, clear run identity, defined protections. You're not asking him to save chaos. You're asking him to make a strong unit even more stable. That distinction is huge. The other key layer is cost. Because he's in a contract year and clearly not cemented as Chicago's future at left tackle, you are not paying franchise left tackle prices. You're talking about a reasonable draft pick, maybe conditional value based on usage, a mid-rounder that in this phase should be used aggressively to protect your core. That's how contenders think. You don't hoard depth picks at the expense of your quarterback's health and your playoff ceiling. You turn a portion of that capital into proven snaps when the profile fits, and Braxton Jones's profile fits. Young enough, experienced enough, hungry enough, technically sound enough, financially controllable in the short term. Now, I know some fans look at this and think about chemistry. Why bring in a guy who just lost his job? Why touch a strength? Because this is exactly when you reinforce, not when you panic. You aren't promising him anything beyond competition and opportunity. In a healthy room, that's not a threat, that's the standard. The best-run franchises don't protect comfort at the expense of depth, they let performance decide. If he isn't better than what we already have, he's high-end depth and the move still upgraded your emergency plan. If he is better in certain roles or matchups, the tape will show it and the staff will act. Either way, the team wins. There's also the message this sends internally. Trading for a player like Braxton Jones says loudly, the Lions are all in on protecting what they've built. It tells the quarterback, we refuse to let your season be decided by a thin edge. It tells the backs, we're serious about running the ball when it gets cold and physical. It tells the defense, your stops will be rewarded because the offense will stand tall all year. It tells every lineman in the building, your job is earned, not gifted. That's how you keep an edge when success stops being new. Look at the risk honestly. It's minimal compared to the potential value. The worst-case realistic outcome is that he doesn't separate himself and walks in free agency. In that case, you spent a modest asset on premium insurance in a season where you're trying to win big. That's not reckless, that's professional. The upside is far more interesting. He arrives, stabilizes depth immediately, embraces the standard, proves he can hold up in this scheme, and you suddenly have long-term security or at least a much clearer picture at one of the hardest positions to fill. When I picture this in real football terms, I think about the games that decide everything. Prime time in December against dangerous edge rushers. A divisional round matchup where one tackle tweaks something late in the week. Do you feel better sending out a lineman with real, full-season starting tape, or a project who's never had to survive 40 snaps against a playoff-caliber rush? That's the decision. Jones exists so that answer can be the former, not the latter. So I want you in this with me. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If the asking price stays reasonable, do you want Detroit to move for Braxton Jones as a strategic swing tackle with upside, or would you rather the front office trust the current depth and save the picks? Do you see him as a smart, grown-up layer of protection for a legit run, or does the benched in Chicago tag outweigh the value of his experience in your eyes? And when you visualize the Lions deep in January, does having a player like Jones in the building make you more confident, or would you prioritize another position? From my side, after weighing his profile, Chicago's direction, our timeline, and what it means to act like a serious contender, my conclusion is straightforward. If the price is right, the Detroit Lions should seriously explore a move for Braxton Jones, not as a savior, not as a headline stunt, but as a calculated upgrade to the most important insurance policy this team can buy. You protect your window by protecting your quarterback, and this is exactly the kind of move that does that without bending your entire structure. If you want to keep getting this kind of grounded breakdown, real context, clear logic, no sugarcoating, stay with me here on Lions News Fan Report. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications, hit like, and share this with that one friend who never stops talking about the offensive line in the group chat. Here you'll get updated news, serious rumors, and honest analysis on every decision that can push this team from contender talk to contender reality. Now it's your turn. Braxton Jones and Honolulu Blue, as a strategic addition to this offensive line, is that the kind of move you're ready to see from a Detroit Lions team that finally expects to play deep into January?